oceans hill, where your blood was spilled for my ransom, and everything I wanted, dear, I count it all as lost. Lead me to the cross where your love poured out. Bring me to my knees, Lord, I lay me down. Rid me of myself, I belong to you. Oh, lead me to the cross. Tempted and tried, new man. The Word became flesh, bore my sin and death. Now you're risen, and everything I wanted, dear, I count it all as lost. Lead me to the cross where your love poured out. Bring me to my knees, Lord, I lay me down. Rid me of myself, I belong to you. Oh, lead me to the cross. To your heart, to your heart. Lead me to your heart. Lead me to your heart. Lead me to the cross where your love poured out. Bring me to my knees, Lord, I lay me down. Rid me of myself, I belong to you. Oh, lead me to the cross where your love poured out. Bring me to my knees, Lord, I lay me down. Rid me of myself, I belong to you. Oh, lead me to the cross. Can you hear me? All right. So this morning we have, you can go sit down. This morning we have, we've kind of divided it by families. So there are 7 different families that are going to share with you a little bit about their trip. I've put them on strict time constraints. And we also have a couple of skits and a slideshow. And we just hope that through this morning we can give you a picture of what happened while we were in Brazil and what God has laid on our hearts and just the amazing things that He did. So.
So due to time constraints, we'll try to get through it real quick. So just the first thing I'd like to say to anybody, to all of you out here, if you haven't been on a mission trip, you should sign up if you want a blessing. Because even though we're going to bless those people with, the work that we did, you usually end up getting a bigger blessing than you gave. We made a new family, basically, with all the people that we met there. They were appreciative of what we did, but we had to be appreciative of all the work that they did for us while we were there. So, one thing, just a couple of things I just wanted to hit on. I know we did some work for them, and I think the pictures were up earlier about some of the things. There was the big thing we were doing was what was called the Quattro, which is basically a concreted area behind the church where they did a lot of youth work, for the kids. They had just activities outside there, and of course what was there was broken up and not in very good shape, so they had they couldn't have all the activities they wanted. So we were able to do that. We got it forward, but in that, this is the way God works. He allowed us to have extra concrete. We did sidewalks. We did painting. We did a lot of things that we hadn't planned on doing, that we didn't think we would get done. They all worked out, and we had extra. And that's just God's hand in that, obviously. Through working, one of the things that Jennifer talked about before we went were that they needed a strong men, some strong men in the church. And she said they had a few when she was there, but in our time there, I seen a lot of people step up, and I think that was a blessing for them, helped them, because a lot of people showed up and did work. They worked for free. They didn't charge anything, and some of them came to church through this that hadn't been coming. So I felt good when we left about the men in the church. I thought they had a good foundation. So I could go on, but I'll pass it on down.
Well, I've typed this out on my phone. I've written it down on paper, and it's never good enough. So there's no way to describe in words what's in my heart. And I hate it that I can't talk without crying. There was a lot that happened to me personally before we went on the trip, and God had dealt with me a lot. But then when we got there, we meet people that we've never, we trust people that we've never met. We can't speak their language. We sleep on the floor. And yet, I felt at home. So I felt that only God could do that. And it's something special when you see God working through your children. All the kids at Cedar Grove, you should be proud. They worked hard. They made every step that we made. They didn't complain. And they did a lot of the ministry, because there's a lot of things that they did that we couldn't do as adults, because they made a lot of relationships. One thing in particular, at the beginning of the week, our kids all play soccer. So, that's a lot of money and a lot of our time. And a lot of times I'm a little bit bitter about it, because it takes a lot of our time. And I went over and sat down to take some pictures, and God just spoke to my heart. He said, this is what it's all been for. I prepared them to come here and play this game with these kids who couldn't speak. They couldn't speak the same language, but they were playing a sport, and you wouldn't have known that they couldn't speak to each other. So I'm like, well, that was all worth it. And he used them in that way to make good relationships. The people were just so giving, and overall, they don't have what we have. They were so generous and so open and just so giving of everything. It made me realize that I need to be more like them, more hospitable. They just welcomed us into their homes, cooked for us, cleaned for us. And throughout the week, when we would do our VBS activities and walk the city, There was one little boy at the beginning of the week in particular who was a bully to other kids. He was kind of rude and impolite as Jennifer began teaching. By the end of the week, he was kind, he was polite, he was standing at the bus crying when we left. And that's all because we just loved on him a little bit. It wasn't what we did, it wasn't what the kids did, it was just what Jesus did through us. And I've already said it once, but I'm forever grateful to Jennifer and Adriano for having the vision and for letting us go along.
What do you want to say? Here. Have we got time? No, we'll have time. Real quick, say something. What you want to say real quick?
crazy, but like that's singing English and Portuguese at the same time.
So I struggled with what to tell you because there's so much. But you know, watching the video, God brought one word into my mind. It's building. This trip was about building. Not only building physically, but building relationships. And it was so wonderful to see God's hand in the middle of when we let Him and we stop and we just let Him do His thing, what He can do. He is taking a group of people across, well, not really across the world, down south of us. And that just immediately I felt like brothers and sisters. And they just, it wasn't that we went, let us show you how to do it right. It's let us come partner with you and let's learn from each other. And that's the feeling that I got of the trip. The relationships, the food, the people, the culture, the weather, everything was just unbelievably well. God orchestrated it. He gave us grace in our travels. It was just awesome to see what He can do.
5 minutes is not long enough. I'll be happy to talk to anybody privately if you'll listen. Our team could not have been gelled any better. Our team was blessed by God from the very beginning. It's neat to see the team we built. But I want to thank the church on behalf of the team. When you came to our spaghetti dinners and you went to our yard sales and you did those things for us, and personally having the chance to go and serve beside my family and see each person in my family grow has no price tag for me. But ladies that bought fleece and cut fleece, we made 20 blankets. Did you see the men having to jump in and help with that? It was a blessing to do that and to be a part of it. And I want you to know that if you helped and you did those things, you were there with us and we felt your prayers while we were there. God blessed the whole trip for us, and He also was in the midst of fears that maybe I had personally, misgivings, things I was uncomfortable about. How am I going to fit in? How am I going to talk to these people? And I think every person on the team can tell you a story about how they did. Sitting in the middle of a group of kids and wondering how you're going to talk to them. You can play with them, but how are you going to talk to them without them getting frustrated? We went to the city 5 different times. We divided it up into 3 sections, and we went back to each section of the city 5 times. And the first time it was getting to know everybody. By the end of the week, the kids that were in the first group were following us around to all 3 parts of the city. And the kids that were in the third group realized that if they got there early at another part of the city, they could hang out with us all day too. So we had a little entourage behind us, and it was a lot of fun. And for me personally, you all that know me know that I love animals, and God let me figure out a way to use that to connect with kids. And I remember sitting in a group of little girls and taking chalk, and I would draw a picture of an animal, and the little girl next to me would draw a picture of the animal, and we would teach each other how to say that in Portuguese. And I learned very quickly I wasn't good at it, because I would come back on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and they would quiz me. They would pull me over here and quiz me, and we would all laugh together. But it was such a special trip, and the children and the adults alike are so giving and so joyful amidst maybe not having as much by our standards. I mean, they certainly think that all Americans are amazingly wealthy, and maybe by certain standards we are, but they have wealth in joy and beautiful children. And I stuffed my pockets full of candy one day and came and gave it to a child. The second day we're there, it was those little Sour Patch Kids soda straw things, and this child opened it up. And the first thing he did was divide it in half and give a piece to me. Candy anytime I wanted. that's the kind of heart that these little ones have, and we made some wonderful relationships. I want to go back. I hope that as many here will prayerfully consider going back, because it's a special place, and God blessed the trip, and it was wonderful. No? Sam made a very good friend while he was down there. I think all of the kids can say that. I'm super proud of our youth, and I think I have 30 seconds, Jennifer. I'm super proud of our youth. Every single one that went taught in some way, whether that was leading a game, whether that was leading a craft, whether that was playing, they all did, and they were able to communicate and do that, and God was in it, and that's a special memory.
Well, the first amazing thing I seen when we first got there, we got on the bus from the airport and rode like 3 hours and stopped at this big, like I call it a truck stop, but it had a truck stop, restaurants and everything. I was sitting right over the back car of the bus, and the bus driver got off and walked back there, and he opened the doors, kind of like slid up like this, and I was sitting there watching, and all of a sudden there was 2 of them walked off, and I went, "What?" So got looking, and the other driver, he slipped. He crawled in there, had a bed and slept, and they shut him in there, and he rode it up under the bus the whole time we was riding. But Jennifer and them said that's their culture to do that. One drives and one sleeps, and then the other drives back. But all in all, that's just the funny part of the story. But all in all, it's amazing how God brought all of us and them. None of us could speak their language, but how God brought all of us together and bonded us all into one. And we could understand each other, but we still couldn't understand their language, or they couldn't understand us, but we could still be amazed and how He bonded us all together and brought us all into a brotherhood, and just amazing how what I seen of how some of the younger people was bonding with more with that church than they ever had before. How they all come around and bonded, and all of us bonded together and helped pour it concrete and just everything, and just amazing the services they had every night, each and every night, of how we could sing, but they'd be singing in their language, but God would bring it to us how, exactly what they were singing and how, the words and everything. To me, I reckon everyone else was too, but, it's just amazing how He bonded us all, and we all made brothers and sisters down there in that church and in that village. And it's probably I've been to Africa like 6 times, but this was probably one of the best trips I've been on as a mission team, with a mission team, because we all bonded. We was all, wasn't no fighting or complaining or nothing like that on this team. Everybody just bonded together in love with, in Christ. I'm just thank each and every one here in the body at Cedar that supported us, helped us get to go down there and just show the love of Christ, down in the world again. I just want to thank Him and praise each and every one of you.
We're going to do a little skit for you now. It's one that we did down there for the kids and for the youth, and it's got a great message, but it's also pretty funny.
So I don't have my verse that I had talked about down there, but it was all about just talking about getting stuck in sin and how just that you have that temptation and it looks so good, and you try it one time and it's like, oh, ooh, you know, that was. You just keep on and keep on till you get stuck, and you can't get out of it unless you've got Jesus. So I enjoyed that. I learned a lot on Philip's acting. So, but just talking about being stuck in sin. So.
I'm walking up here because I want to see you all. I said, you can't see me, I can't see you. Okay, I want to talk to the church just a little bit. You all sent us on a mission trip to Brazil, and so I will report back to you, mission accomplished. The gospel was preached, souls were saved, we helped the Holy Spirit fan the flames of the fire that is taken off and raging in Brazil. It has taken off down there. So I come back to report to you, mission accomplished. But that is just the beginning as well. The Bible tells us in Acts 1:8 that we're to be His witnesses. You are to be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the outermost parts of the earth. That means you all. Not just this team, that means you all. And that means you're His witnesses in many ways. It isn't just the people that went. You all represent us. We represented Cedar Grove down there. They put a little sign up. The Quadra's got Cedar Grove on it. We've already got their name down there. So what I am coming to you and telling you as a church, that we need to partner up with them as a church. This is just the beginning, not the end. This is the beginning of a long-term relationship with them in Brazil. God has been putting this together for a long time. We think this has kind of come up, and over the summer we raised money. Years ago, a man came to this church and talked about working at a children's home in Brazil. John Hatcher, was that his name? But anyway, they came and talked, and people were inspired then. Later on, Jennifer said she wanted to go and be a missionary to Brazil. She went down to Brazil. There she was with Eliezer and Paula in the children's home. She met Adriano right there. God was already putting this together. They got married. They're together. They went back down there to his hometown. They've got family down there. They're our family. When I spoke down there, first thing I told them, if God is your father, then you are my brother. And that is true. They are our family that's down there. It's not just we went down there, had a trip, met these people, and had a good time. We have fellow Christians in Christ. We have our family down there. We go, it's their blood family, but we have a connection with this church other than just this mission trip. I believe God's been putting this together for a long time. That's one of the main things that when we had our Wednesday night class down there, the men met, that's the main thing that God put on my heart right there, and I told them what I am telling you. That this is the beginning of a long-time relationship. You know, Georgetown has a sister town. We as Cedar Grove Church need to have a sister church. We need to have a church that we partner up with. Now, what does that mean? That means that their family, we help them, they help us. I just read a thing on Facebook the other day. They are praying for you all. And we need to be praying for them. This is a two-way. Now, they don't have what we have, so financially they probably need a little help. But then again, they're going to bless you in many ways that we haven't thought of yet. And this is the beginning of many trips that are coming up. Eliezer and Paul want to come up here this winter. When they come up here, they're going to preach a revival. Now, Brother Taylor don't know nothing about it yet, but if he comes and you meet this man and he preaches, you will be revived. There's no doubt in my mind about it. A man that can go on a trip and put water in his gas tank to have him get him to where he's going, he's got an angel watching over his shoulder. And that's the kind of people we need to be partnered up with. We as this church, Brother Taylor said not too long ago, there's something else we're supposed to do, something we're missing. I don't know what all it is, but I know this is part of it. And I believe God has been putting this together for a long time. This isn't just a all of a sudden thing. Now, to some of us, it may be a new thing. When we took the Experiencing God course a long time ago, it said when you experience God, the heavens don't open and you hear a loud voice. Instead, when you see God work and see God doing things, you're experiencing God. We experienced God in Brazil. We saw God putting things together. We saw it come together. Like they said, the whole team. This was my 9th mission trip out of this church. And this has probably been the best one I went on as far as everything going, everybody getting along. I was smart though. If you look in the pictures, I took an air mattress. I didn't sleep on the concrete. But anyway, so I advise you to get you an air mattress. They work pretty good. It might even pump itself up, no problem. So, but anyway, that's what we're supposed to be doing. So you say, well, what can I do? They want to partner up, they want money. It's not just about the money. It's about taking things, helping them helping us. They're praying for us. I recommend, since everybody that went on this team, just about everybody there, I'm trying to talk fast, about everybody there made new friends on Facebook. Well, everybody else is friends on Facebook. Get on there, meet some of these people, talk to them. You can use, I found that there's Google Translate. It works great. It has a hard time translating redneck sometimes, but it works great. And you can talk to these people. These are your brothers and sisters in Christ. They're not just another church in another part of the world that we went down there and did something for. This is family. And where I was come from, where I'm raised, your family comes first. So that's what we need to be doing. We need to be partnering up with them and helping them, and in turn they will help us. Now they are going to need some help probably to come up here this winter. As far as I know, they haven't asked for any. But anyway, when your family needs something, you help them out. I put a little box out here on the table. I don't know if anybody else knows about it or not. There's a little box out here on the table, a mailbox, and we would like to collect up a little bit of money to help them to come up here. So as you have change, whatever, because this is how we will bless them and they will bless us. We went down there, you've already heard about how we went to be a blessing for them, and they have blessed us immensely. And that's the way it always works when you go on these kind of trips. So the issue is, get your passports ready, get your visas ready, because it takes you a while. I had to get Jennifer to do mine. I don't understand all that online stuff. But anyway, online, I got the fishing line. But anyway, get yourself ready, get things going, start praying, because that's what it takes a whole lot of. They will be up here this winter. You will get to meet these people. They are your family. And at Cedar Grove, this is the beginning of a long-term relationship. And you can go. We had a good time. Everybody enjoyed themselves. I danced in Africa. I danced in Brazil. So it's, it's all a good time. So who's next? So get yourselves ready, because we're partnering up.
All right, we're after Philip, so we got 30 seconds. Let's go.
My biggest takeaway from Brazil was that everybody kind of took care of each other in a way. Like the older siblings would take care of the younger ones and they wouldn't fight about it. It was just like, I don't know how to explain it. You kind of had to be there, but like everybody was happy to serve each other. That was my biggest takeaway.
At first, I didn't want to go to Brazil because I was scared and I didn't know what I was going to eat. I got there, God sent me good friends, good food, and I found out that God is everywhere you go.
Well, that's a tough act to follow. I had something prepared, and I was going to tell you about how we went there, and we were these Americans, and everybody was coming to see us because we were Americans, and I thought, I don't like this attention. But that was the attention that God had sent down there. And because we were Americans, they would come and listen to us when they wouldn't listen to their own people. And I was so amazed at seeing that all these little children would come and listen. But the land, it was so fertile.
And there in that community, because we were able to share something that the pastor couldn't share at that particular moment, has now planted a crop. And I was just thinking about what Philip said, that they were a family. I'm not going to try to take all the time. But then Judy had a message a couple of weeks ago about David had protected whose army, or the people in the crop. Was it Nabal? Not Nabal, but I can't even remember who it was. But he had protected all of these people, and then he said, now you need to feed us. And the guy was, who was it? Nabal. And Nabal was like, no, who is David? But David had protected them. When we got there, they protected us. You see your family, and they protected us. There was a dog that was coming after Caleb, and it was a really scary time. And the little girl is like protecting Caleb the whole time. And, you know, we have our foster son. So his mom passed away while we were gone. And I was really scared. I was like, what does this mean? And then his cousin said that she wanted to take him from us. The Brazilian family started texting me immediately, every single day. They had a picture of Joshua, and they said, we are praying for him. He is our family. So we need to take care of our family.
So yeah, we all struggled with how we were going to go, or why we were going to go, or if we should go. All these questions came up, but it was pretty clear when we got there. I think everybody had the same kind of reckoning when we got there. It's like, yeah, we're supposed to be here. I'd like to thank everybody who supported us to go, because it was huge. I felt guilty because I was taking my whole family. There's a lot of things like that, but as you can see in the pictures, it's pretty clear once we got there why the kids went. It was a bigger part of the mission than the concrete that we did. Hospitality was the biggest takeaway for me, just how that church took us in. That church was spending their vacation time. They were cooking for us from 7 o'clock in the morning until midnight some nights, and loving every minute of it. They loved on us, and that was one of my biggest takeaways as a church. Could we do the same thing, or would we do the same thing for people, for us? And that's something that I had to deal with myself. You know, am I too busy? Is my status, whatever? Am I too important to myself? So that's one of the biggest things I took away. And Crystal mentioned the ground being fertile. One of the biggest things I think we can help is, you know, we want to bring him up here. We want to help him. Right away, this man needs a van. He's got a four-door compact car that most of us wouldn't probably drive. And he's picking up 10 kids at a time and taking them to church. And he goes all morning long until he fills that church up. You saw how many kids was in there. There's 110 kids there the day we were there. And he brought most of them, or they walk. So the ground is very fertile. It's not a place where they don't believe in God or don't want anything to do with God. They'll come. They just need somebody to help them go out and get them. So that was our biggest takeaway. So we thank you all.
Philip, pretty good actor, ain't he? I didn't know I had it in him. I ain't doing all talking. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I better talk first before he gets started. I think the biggest take for this trip, like everyone else, there's so much to tell. And not all of y'all even know how it even started for us to go, but all really quick. We were so on the fence on going. We couldn't, how are we going to get this money? Just everything. Just all kinds of stuff. So one day I had a lot going on. I had a lot on my heart, and I was at home by myself with Drake, and God just kept telling me, Ashley, down on your knees and pray. And I just kept on like, well, I've got this to do, or I just could not stop. But finally, I just stopped and I hit my knees and I was praying for others. But in that prayer, I had said, God, will you just let me know if we are to go on this trip? That was it. Got up, went on about my day. Maybe 30 minutes later, I get a text. If you're not busy, give me a call. It was someone. I call them. I thought they were going to talk about something else. And they asked me, they said, hey, have y'all decided if you're going to Brazil yet? And I said, no, I don't know. We've got a lot. We've got Levi. We need to be, helping the ones in our church. And I struggled. And they said, well, we want you to know that we have $1,500 for you to go if you want to go. And right then I knew we were going. And I knew that God was going to take care of us. I knew He was going to have people here to take care of the DeLimpo family. And it all just worked out. And I got a text later asking if I wanted to be a part of the event that we had here. So there was another reminder that God said, look, I've got this. So that's how it started. But in this trip, my biggest takeaway was seeing how all races could come into one church and worship and serve God. You didn't have that division. You did not have any of that. Over here, we have too much of it, and that's not how it's supposed to be. So that was my biggest take, and just how the serving. Y'all see I have my necklace, my sweet little boy picture up there. He had my heart day one. I didn't even do anything special, and this boy just came to me. I knew it was God. And how Laura had said about how they will give you, split that candy. And he had asked me when we was doing this Thanksgiving thing one night, he had asked me, Ashley, can I get you some water? My mouth dropped open. And you think of all the things that we do when we're out here serving our community. How many people, including myself, go up to those people and say, hey, how can I serve you? We don't. So that I was in tears, and I think that little boy about scared him, and I'm like, oh, no. So then we get a necklace. He goes home and makes me a necklace. And so that's my biggest take. So, girls, y'all want to share?
So I guess I probably look like I can talk, go anywhere, I'm a pretty open kind of dude, but I get like very, 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 very anxious, like in big places with a lot of people, like airports and all that noise. It's like, man, I'm going out of the country. I don't know about all this noise, at first off, I didn't even know if I want to go, but a little bit of me was, now my girls was going for sure, 100%. Then it was more of a protection thing in my mind. But then, I found out that later, a lot of the town is really a lot like, Stamping Ground, except for a whole lot more people in it. And there's a lot of drinking and stuff that goes on. Not because of whatever, it's just not a lot goes on. Like in Eastern Kentucky, you don't have a ton of work. A bunch of people around, not a ton of work. It's kind of a little bit depressing every once in a while. And people get wrapped up in that stuff, just like we do here, So I figured if there's anything I can give to them, I can give them little parts of that, because I was wrapped up in that stuff for a long, long time. And so we went, and it was good stuff. But man, I was like Ashley was laying hands on me on the way going down there praying. I was so anxious, like I thought I was going to die, like in that airplane. I don't know what the deal was. I mean, it's a crazy flight, like 10 hours. The last flight is 10 hours. And I didn't even sleep. Like I watched more Marvel movies than I've ever watched in my life. I watched every Marvel movie, I think. But once I got there, I was at home, you know. I mean, it really did feel like home. And all that was gone, like every bit of that. Here I had this deal going on, I don't know what it is. I think it's anxiety again. I eat. I can't even go to a restaurant and eat. We never go out to a nice restaurant and eat because every time I eat, I get choked up and it's just bad. And I have to end up leaving and she had to sit there and, you know, wait till the waiter gives her a ticket. It's just weird. But over there, it never, ever happened. It was like we were so blessed through the whole deal. It's like once I hit that town, I was at home, you know. And I felt that way the whole entire time. I told somebody, I said, we slept on a concrete floor on a little old mattress that wasn't nothing and felt good all week. I get home the next day, my back's hurting, sleeping in my mattress that I paid a lot of money for. Nobody was grumpy with each other. And Philip went, he's grumpy anyway. And we all got along so good, like it was ridiculous. Philip made my week. I'll be quite honest with you. I was thinking the whole way, I was like, boy, Philip, he's going to be rough. He's grumpy. He's going to be all... Dude, he made my week. If he hadn't been there, I believe it'd been totally different. He can preach. He can act. And man, he's a pretty good dude, old Philip is. I think me and Philip might be brothers now. But no, it's a big deal, and I tell you, if we could, you know, we can't express enough how we feel like that we need to band together with this church. All right, it's a small church, but you wouldn't believe the kids that come in there on a Sunday morning. They do it different than we do. Their Sunday morning is like kid stuff, you know, young. And then Sunday nights is their big service. But like Dane said, you know, he went in this little car, and I think it was 12, not 10. It was 3. There are kids everywhere in this car. Like, I don't even like coming to church with my 4 or 5. He's hauling these kids load after load after load. So, you know, I thought, man, all this big stuff going on because this pad of concrete that y'all paid for was a place where them kids come together and play, you know, and hear about Jesus through it all. And so, I mean, that's big stuff y'all done for them right there. But, like, just to see the love he has for these kids and think about that being the next generation, you know, that's the deal. So, like, as they continue to grow, that's the next generation of that church, you know. I can see improvements that we could do now. I already had ideas. I got pictures of Sunday school classes. I know where they go. And all. But the future, I mean, I think about, you know, it could be big stuff in the future, especially with that being the next generation. So, you know, yeah, financially they could, you know, use help because it's different than here. And I think financially we can help, you know. So anyway, you know, I took a big thing about, when I come home, I started doing the dishes. I don't do dishes. I don't like doing dishes. But if I realized one thing, it was like the way the men would help out there. It was, and women would cook, and they ain't joking. I mean, they'd be in there cooking, cleaning up. It'd be 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. These people don't never sleep. They work 2 or 3 jobs and all this noise. It's like crazy. Here, I can go home and get on the couch, you know. But, you know, I just brought that home. Like, we waste a lot of time. Or I waste a lot of time. That could be, you know, used for cleaning up after myself. Or whatever it might be that I ain't griping about it later. So, I don't know. It was just a good trip. It was crazy. It's the first one I've been on out of the country. But it's good stuff, and I sure want to go back.
My biggest takeaway was God will protect you no matter what. Like, I was scared to drink the water, but then I drank it and I was just waiting to get sick, and I was like, am I going to get sick? And it never happened, so I was like, okay. And then a couple bug bites popped up on my arm, and I was like, Mom, am I going to get yellow fever? Am I okay? And she was like, yeah, it'll all be okay, and it was, so.
First, I want to thank you, the church, for supporting. For supporting the team to go down there. It was a good trip, not a hard time for us as a family, but I think the team could experience what we've experienced before, and like the need and the vision. The heart of that man beyond being just like church and relationship, was a dear friend of mine back in the days. Philip said something about it's not just like a trip, but a trip that's being put together with a history of a long time. Jennifer went down there first, since high school, whatever, then college, moving down there, then I come up here. And it's been 10 years after I moved to America that last year we were visiting. Last year we were visiting, and then that was for the very first time that was like, that hit us again, like, I think we need to bring part of our family here and let them see. But never crossed my mind as being a history thing. It's been like, I think it started a long time ago. So we came home. As we were getting an airplane, we were driving 6 hours back to São Paulo. We were so passionate about that vision that that we started putting stuff together, like what the food's gonna look like, who are the people that we would like to come and be with us. We didn't know who would come, but we have a few names that we kind of like. Okay, Barry is there, maybe Julie, or maybe Dan, a few other names, the Hibberts. I didn't say Barry Hibberts. But so we had all these names. I never pictured Philip going, but then I'm telling you, that man was something else. I think people really got to connect through his preaching and through his ability of a relationship with people. Not only that, but for our team itself, there was such almost a piece missing, and then it was Philip to glue everything together. I don't know exactly what, if he knows what it means, but for us it was like a great thing from God. That was he needs to be on this trip. And not only that, people there was blessed. I was blessed, our family was blessed. But about Eliezer, it was my time. Then Eliezer, it's been a long time ago. I moved in with him, roommate with him for a little while. And I always went back to Alder Carvalho for the services. So he used to play the guitar there. And then he, little by little, started taking over the church. It was passed on later on to him. And then a tremendous man. He just amazes me. Sometimes I think he's stupid. He have 10 reais of gas on his car. That means about $3. And I go Eliezer, we can do this. We're gonna stay in the road. We're not gonna make all the way down there. He's like, no, we will. And then he put 10 reais on his car, and we drive to Alder Carvalho. It's 15 minutes. And then we need to go back. Well, 10 reais is enough for you to go to Alder Carvalho, but it's not enough for you to go back. So you need another 10. And then those times, it worked out. We made all the way back. There was times where we had to push the car back. There was times he was his crazy idea is let's put some water on the tank. I'm oh man, I'm Brazilian myself, but it's stop it, you're killing me. So, and then we make it like that. So it was work, so he can have enough money to put gas and go to church. So he's in love with that place. He's decided that's the place where he wants to be. And he would love for the church to partnership with him, or whatever that means in the future. So you guys will decide that. But it was great.
So just quickly, I know that the group told you we did the construction work. We went through the city and, like they said, and divided it 3 different places and visited every day. We also did, we did different services. We did a women's service, a men's service, a community outreach night. We did the regular church services, a youth service. We did a prayer service, a children's service. So we were really busy, and these guys worked really hard. And I know I was maybe a little bit of a slave driver there. Come on, guys, it's time to go. We gotta go. But they all worked so hard, and I think we were all so blessed because the church, they really did take us in, and they worked just as hard as we did, every single one of them. And it was such a huge blessing. It was so neat for me. I had planned for us to have a night that we got to spend just with the leadership of the church there, because I wanted to form some relationships. Well, as the week went on, I realized we don't need to set aside that specific time because these relationships are already forming. It was just such a blessing, and to have had this vision of, God really wants us to take a group there, and maybe, and we hadn't really thought about it till this trip, how God had been planning this, and to have seen Paula and Eliezer kind of grow up, knowing where they came from, and to see where they are now and how God has used this is just so neat to see how He was working all these things out when we had no idea what He was doing. But to have had a vision in my heart for several years that, we needed to be supporting Eliezer and Paula in this church and being a part of their ministry and walking alongside them, and then to take this group of 23 people to Brazil and not to have vocalized that long-term vision and to hear it coming out of their mouths. I will never be able to express how cool that was, that God, I didn't have to share my vision. God shared it with them. And I hope that is something that they have all talked about that they want to continue. I hope that is something that you all will catch and will become contagious as well, because it truly is an amazing ministry, amazing opportunity that God has given us. And I think it's so cool that at this point, the Celestinos have been the connection to Brazil all these years. From this point on, that connection doesn't depend on us. It's Cedar Grove and Alvarez Carvalho. It's not the Celestinos and Alvarez Carvalho. So I think that's so cool. When we were down there, we were gifted with a flag by the church. Will you guys hold that? The leadership and some of the members of the church, they all signed it and wrote messages. Oh, we got it upside down. So this is a gift to our church to help us to remember that they are praying for us and that we have that partnership, so we're hoping that we can put this up somewhere. In addition, we have, I have this blown up. This is a sign at the city that spells out the name of the city, and it's everybody in the group on the letters. So we're hoping we can put this up somewhere to remind us as a church that we need to be praying for the city of Alvarez Carvalho. We have a short message from the pastor. He videotaped a little message to us. A couple of them mentioned it, but Eliezer and Paula, that's the pastor and his wife, the day after we left, he called me and said, we feel that God has laid it on our hearts that we need to come to Cedar Grove. And so the next week they went and got their passports. They this week got them in their hands, and they are researching the best way to get a visa. They want to come at the end of December. They want to come the day after Christmas and stay through the month of January and be a part of Cedar Grove and participate in our ministry, get to know this church, and share their testimonies with us. And they have not asked for any kind of support, but we as a team felt that we wanted to help them do that because that's a big financial undertaking for them. So we're going to have an offering plate, I think, today. If anyone is interested in giving toward that, Philip mentioned he put a box out there. We are going to have a couple of dinners over the next couple months just to help support them. So if you are interested in helping to support them to come, that's wonderful. no pressure. We just felt like as a team, they are making financial sacrifices to follow what they feel God has asked them to do, and we want to help them do that. So I'm going to do my very best to translate as he talks on here, so bear with me. Could we pull up the video?
Tudo bem? Eu sou o pastor Eliezer.
I'm Pastor Eliezer.
Estou gravando este vídeo
I'm making this video
para dizer que a viagem
to say
missionária
that the mission trip
que os irmãos fizeram aqui
that our brothers did here in Alves
foi uma
Carvalho
grande bênção.
was a huge
Está
blessing.
sendo uma grande
It's
bênção.
continuing to be a huge blessing.
Pessoas que ouviram o evangelho
People that heard the
quando os irmãos
gospel
estiveram aqui
when our brothers were here
estão visitando a igreja,
are visiting our church,
estão conhecendo a igreja,
learning about our
e mais
church,
importante,
and most importantly,
conhecendo Jesus.
coming to know Christ.
A cidade toda ainda
Our
fala
entire
dos
city
irmãos
is still talking
da
about the
alegria,
group,
da
the joy,
comunhão,
the
do
communion,
amor
the
que
love
vocês tiveram
that
por
you
nossa
had
igreja
for our
e
church
por nossa
and
cidade.
for our city.
Foi muito gostoso, foi muito alegre.
It was wonderful. It was
Eu
very
quero aqui nesse
joyful.
vídeo agradecer
I want to thank
por
you
tudo que os irmãos fizeram
for
por
everything
nós.
that our brothers did
E
here for us,
por aquilo que a igreja fez por nós.
for everything your church did
Pela
for us.
quadra,
The quadra,
pelas salinhas, reformas da nossa
the Sunday
salinha,
school rooms,
a escola dominical, pelas roupas
the
doadas,
clothes that were donated,
pelos uniformes
the
doados,
uniforms that were
por
donated,
tudo que
for
fizeram.
everything they've done.
Mas a maior marca que
But
os
the
irmãos
greatest mark
deixaram
that our brothers left
aqui em nossa cidade,
here in our city,
aqui em nossa
here in
igreja,
our church,
foi avivamento de
was
amor,
an awakening of love.
despertamento de amor. Nós conseguimos ver nos olhos das pessoas
We were able to see in
o
their
amor.
eyes the
Eu quero
love of
agradecer
Christ.
muito por isso.
I'm so
Agradecer
thankful for this.
Através da minha família, através da minha
Our church
igreja,
is thankful, our family is
o amor que
thankful
vocês
for the love that you
mostraram aqui
have
em
shown
nossa cidade.
for us in our city.
Estamos orando
We
muito
are
por
praying
vocês.
for you.
Estamos orando muito pela igreja.
We are praying for your
Estamos
church.
orando para que dia,
We are praying that
para
one
que
day
nós
we
possamos estar aí pessoalmente,
can personally come
falando
visit you,
do amor de Deus, falando do nosso
talking about
testemunho
God's
de
love
vida.
and sharing our
É uma
testimonies.
grande bênção
It's a huge
ter os
blessing
irmãos
to
como
have these
parte
brothers
da nossa igreja.
as part of our
Hoje,
church.
eu posso dizer
Today I can say
que a Igreja Batista,
the
e
Baptist
a
Church,
igreja, não sei se essa é a
I don't know if I'm
pronúncia
saying it
correta,
correctly,
Cedar Grove, não sei
Cedar
se é
Grove,
assim que
Cedar
fala,
Grove,
mas eu sei que
but I know
hoje
that today
nós começamos uma nova história.
we've started a new
É
story.
o início de uma nova história,
It's the beginning of a new
de uma
story,
parceria
a partnership
entre a igreja de Alves
between
Carvalho
our
aqui no
church in
Brasil
Alves
e a
Carvalho
igreja aí nos Estados Unidos,
and the
Cedar
church in the
Grove.
United States, Cedar Grove.
Vamos dar as mãos
Let's hold
e vamos
hands
ganhar
and win
mais almas
souls
para
for
Jesus.
Christ.
Nós agradecemos de coração tudo que os irmãos fizeram por
We
nós.
thank you
E
for
pode
to
ter
heart
certeza
everything the group did.
que
You
cada
can be
semente
sure
que foi lançada
that every
aqui no
seed that
Brasil,
was planted here in
cada
Brazil,
criança que ouviu o
every
evangelho
child
no
that
Brasil,
heard
vocês podem
the
ter
gospel,
certeza
you can
que
be
um
sure
dia
that one day
nós vamos encontrar elas no céu.
we're going to see
E
them
você
in
vai
heaven.
poder olhar e
And you're
dizer,
going to be
a
able to
minha
look and
igreja
see our
faz
church
parte
made
dessa
had a part of
história.
that
Agradeço a
story.
todos, agradeço a igreja,
Thank you for
agradeço a
your
liderança,
church.
agradeço
Thank
o
you for
grupo,
the leadership,
por tudo que fizeram
to the
em
group,
nossa
for
igreja
everything they did in
e
our
pelo
church,
início dessa nova história.
in the
Deus
beginning of
abençoe
this new
a
story.
todos.
God bless you. So that's Eliezer. He's a pretty cool dude. They have, I mean, really, I feel like this was kind of a revival in their church. They have started new ministries since we've left. There are new families and kids that have become part of the church, and they do such a good job of making it personal and building personal relationships with everyone that's visited. There were 3 that accepted Christ while we were there, and we are continuing to see God work. And I'm confident that there will be more salvations and seeds that have been planted soon. So if you all would continue to pray with us, our prayer is that you will feel like you are part of this family and this partnership as well. So thank you all for everything, for supporting us, for supporting them. That's all I got.
Translate. translate English into Portuguese is one thing, but translate redneck to Portuguese is
Amen. Let's give this whole team, would your team stand up just a moment? All that was in the team. Let's give them a round of applause. A lot of hard work went into it, but one thing that is, I did not hear, but I want to say, the organization, the preparation, the planning, Jennifer did a wonderful, wonderful job, and Adriano, and I think they deserve our appreciation as well. I thank you all for being here this morning. I think it's different service than we've ever had, but it's worth it. I was going to give a couple announcements, but we'll do them next week. Good enough? Let's stand together.